David Dillahunt, very excited to have you on today to talk about the eclipse and what Southwest is doing during the eclipse. You are the chief meteorologist for Southwest, is that right?
Yes, so I'm our chief meteorologist in Dallas, Texas. I lead our team of meteorologists and our network operations control.
It's one of those jobs that I think people don't necessarily think of when they think of a meteorologist, but it's so essential because there's so much that's weather dependent when it comes to flying, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely part of every part of our business. So we try to forecast on the day-to-day basis and some long-range stuff for some business and risk mitigation as far as the weather goes. So it's a pretty involved group of folks that we have on our meteorology team.
And as far as long term, we're talking about the upcoming eclipse, and there's definitely going to be some weather related concerns there. But also, Southwest is flying flights through the eclipse. And this is seems to be a trend with this eclipse that I haven't noticed before. Is this a new thing, or did you guys do this in 2017 as well?
So for us, the flights that we have going through the path of totality were already scheduled flights, and we've just kind of highlighted some of those that we have that will be in that path that have a pretty good chance of seeing the eclipse when it happens. So there's some variables that are hard to kind of predict at this point, but there's a handful of ones that have a really good chance, and then there's a number of other ones that will be crossing the path and we'll have a good chance at a good view, but there's a few that we've highlighted in some of our media posts that highlight those ones that we're really saying these are probably your best bets. So
Yeah, I mean, a couple of them, like the timing and the flight path. Can you tell me specifically which ones they are?
so one I can point to specifically, or a couple of them, we have one going from Austin to Indianapolis that leaves Austin just before 1 o'clock, and then we're expecting that flight to kind of be in totality, assuming everything is as planned right now as far as weather and all the other variables going along with it. Sometime around or somewhere around Little Rock is when we expect that flight as it's going up to Indianapolis to be in that path of totality. So we have some others going the other direction from Milwaukee to Houston, I believe. And then there's even a couple other ones on shorter flights. I think it's either St. Louis to Houston or St. Louis to Dallas, but there's a few others in there that will be crossing those paths as well.
Okay, so flight path, I know has to be determined kind of day of, right? Because it's weather dependent. So is the flight path going to be determined also by that totality path?
Our flight paths that we kind of have sketched out now are based more on what historically we have just between those city pairs, given takes into consideration clear weather days and maybe bad weather days or air traffic control. So the way that we have them built out now, we're just probably our best guess or best estimate of where we expect them to go. Where we could see deviations will be if there's any air traffic control constraints, if there's any weather in the area. We're hoping for none of that, obviously, but those are where we could see some of the deviations. And it just depends on what flexibility we have in that airspace with air traffic and what weather is out there. So, but Southwest will make every effort to try to keep us within that path for those flights that have been highlighted.
Do you think there's any chance, and has there been any talk of doing some zigzagging? Because I feel like if you're on one side of the plane, you might luck out, and if you're on the other side, you might see nothing at all. So do you think the pilots might do a little back and forth so that different people can see everything?
I think our pilots definitely want to because they know a lot of the passengers on those flights are on those, not necessarily to go from Austin to Indy, but to see the eclipse itself. So
Yeah.
our flight crews, they want to. It'll really depend on what flexibility air traffic has because we know this is going to be a big event and there's going to be a lot of the air traffic will be down low for a lot of the general aviation, but even still the commercial aviation up at those higher altitudes. It'll just depend on what room we have up there because we won't be the only ones asking to maybe get a second view and do a little turn. So
I'm trying to wrap my head around like the flight path and how the movement of totality versus the speed at which an airplane goes. Are you like going at the same speed? You can't possibly keep up, right? Tell me the physics of all of this and how that'll work.
yeah, so the speed that we witness the eclipse on the ground and even from the aircraft will be way faster than the aircraft is actually moving. Even though those aircraft are going to be moving somewhere around just a ballpark estimate, 500 miles per hour ground speed, if we don't have any winds that we're facing with that. So, but the speed that we see the shadow move will be even faster than that, but it's not really it won't be linear in that it will kind of be kind of slow, then we'll speed up as we move a little bit further north in the higher latitudes. So um, we won't be able to I guess I say catch up to it if we have a flight that's a little bit behind it
Yeah.
because it's going to be racing off farther than or faster than we can catch it. So as far as the speed of it going, it'll be moving faster than what our aircraft are going to be moving at.
Right. It's impossible to like chase an eclipse from an aircraft, right?
Yeah, you got to let it catch you is kind of what a lot of these flights will be doing. So as long as you're in that path long enough, we're hoping that it'll go over you.
Okay, so tell me about your role when it comes to the eclipse. Are you going to be on one of these flights, or are you going to be on the ground kind of monitoring weather conditions and talking to pilots? How do you play into all of this?
Sure. So I won't be on one of the flights, but one of our other meteorologists will be on the Austin to Indianapolis flight to answer any questions that may come up, or just kind of be there to answer any questions that may come up weather-wise or eclipse-wise. So we're excited to have one of our team members on the flight there. I will be in Dallas. We have an internal event going on our campus for employees on one of the roofs of our parking garages, and we will. We're still a little bit far out to kind of forecast for the event itself. We've had the National Weather Service forecast, and Fort Worth has been posting some historical climatology looks. So we've had an idea of right now it's 1/3 chance of clear skies, 1/3 chance of partly cloudy, and 1/3 chance of overcast. So it's tough to plan off that right now. But as we get within that, 5 to 7 day range, we'll probably be able to get a little bit more specific on the general type of weather we're expecting, and we'll be communicating that days before we actually get to the eclipse event, and then day of, I'll be working with my team to make sure our operation is has the weather information they need, because this will be a unique event and that we have our regular day of operations still to run, but we also know that there's a lot of attention and a lot of customers flying specifically for the eclipse. So our team will be on it, providing what weather information we can internally and to some of our teams at Southwest that may, provide some information more company wide. But yeah, my involvement for our event will just kind of it'll be a little bit of a play-by-play. So I'll get a chance to be a little bit of a sports play caller there for a little bit as we have the eclipse for about 4 or 5 minutes there in the Dallas area, because we are in the path of totality there. So yeah, we're going to have coverage in the air, on the ground, and in the days ahead of time. We'll be watching it closely to try to give the best support that we can for it.
What are you most looking forward to with the eclipse?
For me, I'm excited to just kind of witness it, as I think this is an event that everyone in the country and maybe even outside of the country are paying attention to, and will be need to experience an event with a large population of people, and everyone will have a very similar experience to it because we're all looking at the same thing. So just the event itself that you kind of share with the number of people that you're sharing it with, I think is what's really going to be neat for me. And Southwest has been great in letting me and our team get involved in a lot of different ways, so that'll be pretty cool too.